Prime Minister, who is in Italy to attend the summit of the Group of Seven known as G7, which is likely to be dominated by Ukraine and the Gaza ceasefire talks. During his day-long visit, the Prime Minister will be participating in a summit session entitled Artificial Intelligence, Energy, Africa, Mediterranean, to be hosted by the Italian Prime Minister Meloni. He'll be joined by Pope Francis. Pope Francis is also expected to hold a bilateral talk with the Prime Minister of India, who has a series of meetings scheduled with world leaders. We're talking about Emmanuel Macron as well as the leader from Germany. Will he be meeting with the US President? That is a question that needs to be answered. But there might be a sideline meeting as far as the President of the United States is concerned. My colleague Vishnu has the details.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi arriving in the Apulia region of southern Italy. His first international visit since NDA-3 came to power. He is a special invitee at the G7 meeting, a gathering of the most powerful leaders in the planet. It's going to be a brief visit. Mr. Modi is here for just one day, an aspect reflected perhaps in the size of his interaction with the diaspora here. Unlike massive events in stadiums, there was a 5-minute meet and greet.
I'm in Bari, a full 50 kilometers away from Borgo Egnazia. That is where the all-important summit of the G7 is taking place. The reason we've been unable to go over there is because that entire area is off limits for the media. It's been turned into an absolute fortress. But behind that fortress are important conversations which are taking place, not least of all, on the future of Ukraine.
The US President Joe Biden landing in Italy. His key agenda ahead of a World Peace Summit on Ukraine being held in Switzerland is clear. Arrive at an agreement that sends Russia a strong signal. A $50 billion package to Kiev, financed through seized Russian assets.
We want to demonstrate that the U.S. supports the people of Ukraine, that we stand with them, and that we'll continue to help address their security needs. The agreement will show our resolve and continued commitment.
It's unclear at this stage if Prime Minister Modi will be drawn into the conversation on Ukraine, and it remains unlikely that he'll attend the Ukraine Peace Summit, though India will be well represented. Here in Italy, though, India does have a key role to play as a leader of the global south. India has been invited to the G7 repeatedly. It's the 11th time India is participating in the meet, whose key players represent close to 45% of the global GDP and more than 10% of the world's population. Significantly, China is not a member, and Russia was ejected in 2014 following their invasion of Crimea in Ukraine.
While the initial agenda of the G7 was on economic issues, talks between the most powerful economies in the world, the overall agenda has changed over a period of time, and that's because the state of the world's economy has changed. For example, India is now the world's 5th largest economy. We are in fact larger as an economy than the host nation Italy, France and also Canada. And India is seen to be an important voice of the global south, which is why India's participation, representation over here is seen to be crucial.
Besides key bilateral meetings, including the possibility of one with his Canadian counterpart Justin Trudeau, at a time of great tension between India and Canada over Khalistani separatism, Mr. Modi will be focusing on the Indo-Pacific region, Africa, climate change, migration and artificial intelligence. He will of course also look at the relationship with Italy, a key partner nation with whom New Delhi has had excellent relations. The Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni was in India for the G20 summit in October 2021 and was in India on a state visit in March last year. Both countries are developing their strategic partnership. There are 2 lakh people of Indian origin in Italy, the second highest in the EU after the Netherlands. Italy is a member of the India-led International Solar Alliance. Trade in 2022-2023 was $15 billion. Italy is India's 4th largest partner in the European Union. India has an investment of $400 million in Italy in pharma, IT, electronics manufacturing and engineering.
The G7 is an important platform because it has as members the most important and industrialized countries in the world and some of our key global partners. And for the Prime Minister, it's an occasion to reiterate the importance we attach to multilateralism. It's a platform on which he will espouse his vision of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam and also follow up on some of the outcomes of the G20 summit that he had chaired last year. And obviously we are also voicing the aspirations and expectations of the Global South on this platform.
There's also a profound historic association in the relationship that's often forgotten. Close to 50,000 Indian soldiers fought for the liberation of Italy during the Second World War. They fought in some of the most important battles here, in Florence, Bologna and Monte Cassino. In parts of Italy, Indian soldiers are still remembered and honoured.
The Prime Minister's visit to Italy at this time, within days of being sworn in for a record third time as Prime Minister, sets the stage for his foreign policy agenda. India, as we've been repeatedly saying, is an important voice of the Global South. We've had an outstanding G20 as well. Over here, there is an impetus being added to the India story, important conversations. Remember, India is also essentially non-aligned. That word is no longer as fashionable perhaps as it once was, but India is not associated with any one power bloc, which in a sense adds to the respect that India earns around the world as an even player and equal player which deals with the major powers in an equal way. With camera person Rakesh Singh, Vishnu Shom in Bari for NDTV.